Second ever video on the Feeling Donut channel. I realised I forgot to even say my name last time, so hi, I'm Penny. It's great to see you all today, and thank you for tuning in. Before we start this video, I'd like to say thank you for the massive positive response that I got on my first video. I didn't expect it to resonate with as many people as it did, even though it's only got, 60 views as of now. I didn't expect that, so thank you very much. Second of all, the camera quality will improve in later videos, I promise. I've got a camera to film on. The only thing is I don't have an adapter at the moment, so I can't actually get any footage from an SD card onto my computer to edit or upload. So we're stuck with the webcam for now, but it's fine. So on to today's video topic. This is a funny one actually. It's internalized ableism, which doesn't sound that funny, but believe me, looking back on the things I used to do now, I can't help but to laugh, and that's because if I don't laugh, I will cry, because in this lockdown, I have been vicariously reliving my childhood through video games, and playing back through a lot of those video games, particularly one, which I'll mention later, has made me realise just how deeply ingrained ableism was in me, and that, honestly, it makes me so upset. So if I don't laugh, I will cry. So quick background on the game. The main aim of the game, is to play as each of the 4 Bratz girls, Chloe, Yasmin, Sasha and Jade, and you have to work together as all 4 of those to win the American Rocks fashion competition and win a pair of diamond go-go boots from designer Mucci Fiori. Okay, so this is my second time recording this bit of the video because my neighbours unfortunately are doing some work outside and it was a little bit loud. So, if I've edited all of this correctly, I will have just spoken about the main premise of the game. So, now we get to what it did to me and what it perhaps did to other people, although I have not asked anyone about this, so maybe it's just a me thing, but either way, it brought internalized ableism upon me big time. So, how it did this. As part of working as one of the Bratz girls, as all 4 of the Bratz girls, you have to organise fashion shows and wear all sorts of outfits, and you have to use your remote to input buttons to have the outcome of certain poses. And this is quite a big element of the game, as you can imagine, because you're in a fashion show competition. Unfortunately for me, when I was in these, when I was doing these missions, nobody at all looked like me, had the same kind of mannerisms as I did, or could do the same things as I could do. So I began to think, because somebody made an entire game, they wouldn't make an entire game about the fashion industry without researching the fashion industry. So hence, this game must be a reflection of what fashion is and should be. Because of that, I began to think that because I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't be interested in fashion or makeup or beauty or anything along those lines. I began to think, well, I can't wear those pair of heels that Chloe is wearing because I have square feet, so I couldn't do the pose on the catwalk that she's doing, so I wouldn't be able to make it in the fashion industry because I can't do a big part of it. And I also began to think, things like, that dress would bunch up on me, therefore I wouldn't be suited to the fashion industry because they wouldn't make an entire game without accommodating for people in the fashion industry. So I began to think it was a me problem, which is not a good thing, because it was not a me problem. It was in fact me just being a assuming that these people were giving accurate representations when they weren't. So, I began to have very, very, very low self-confidence to a very, very kind of, again, I'm so sorry I keep using the word very, but that's all I can think of at the moment. I began to have low self-confidence, and I began to think I couldn't achieve any of my dreams. At the time, there was nothing like a wheelchair brat stall or anything, so I began to think wider, and I began to see that nothing that I was interested in had somebody who looked like me. And I thought, all of these people can't just completely miss me out. It's me not being deserving of being there. So, as I mentioned, it was very bad for me. But then I realised through the volunteer work and the activism that I started doing that ableism was a thing, and in fact, entire companies do design games, do design magazines, do design dolls without keeping the disabled and every other minority in mind, because unfortunately, some companies are very, very uninclusive, and they should stop. So when I learned this, I began to, I want to put emphasis on that. It wasn't just a one-day epiphany. I began to realise I'm not the problem, and I began to try things that this game told me I couldn't try. I began to wear dresses, I began to wear skirts, I began to wear boots, and I began to figure out what kind of clothes works for me, and I began to figure out what kind of clothes didn't. And while this is a very long process, and I mean very long, I started playing the game, as I should have mentioned before, when I was 5 years old, and I started wearing skirts when I was about 13 or 14 again. So it was a very long process for me to get the confidence, and that's what I want to emphasize. So the main point of this video, it's okay to have days where you are completely confident in yourself and your disability, and you think that everything is good. And equally, it's also okay to have days where you're not so confident in your disability, because this is a process, and getting rid of internalized ableism isn't easy. But the main thing I want to emphasize in this video is just positive affirmations. It's okay if it takes you 20 minutes to get a pair of boots on, like it did with me today. Because if you want to spend 20 minutes putting on a pair of boots because you like them, it's okay, because you like those boots, and it's fine that it takes you a bit longer than everybody else. If you want to wear a dress that you've been told you shouldn't wear because of whatever reason, but you really want to wear it, you wear that dress. If you want to wear makeup, but you feel pressurized to not do so, do whatever feels right. And if you really want to do something like put on makeup, but again, if you don't want to put on makeup, don't put on makeup. It's okay. You're free to make your own choices. Don't let anybody else dictate those for you. You're your own person, and it's okay to have little whims you want to do in the short term, and it's okay to have big dreams in the long term. And 17-year-old me wants to become a lawyer, and for a long time I thought, whatever, I want to be a lawyer because of internalized ableism saying I can't be a fashion designer. But then I realised, just like everybody else, my dreams, but then I realised, just like everybody else, at some point in our lives we've had a dream and then we changed our minds. And it doesn't matter what that dream is, whether it's your dream job, whether it's anything. Some dreams change, some dreams don't, and it's okay if that dream changes, and it's okay if that dream doesn't. And you have the right and you have the skills to go and chase it, and you should. that leads me on to my final topic of the video, which is things that I think perhaps would have helped me realise that I had internalised all of this ableism and helped me prevent its effects and lessen them at an earlier stage. This might not apply for everybody, but there's a point to this, I promise. As a massive history nerd myself, I always read about history as a kid, and I always tried to find similarities between myself and historical figures. But unfortunately, it took a lot of digging to find disabled figures in history that I could look up to and study about and research. So that leads me to a question for the 12 of you who are subscribed to this channel, and perhaps more if you choose to subscribe after this, but that's your choice. Would you like to see me do videos about disabled historical key figures? If you do, that would be great. But if you don't, I don't want to put up content that you guys don't like. So again, it's your choice, and I will see if I have the technological capabilities to insert a poll somewhere, or maybe a link to one, I don't know. But anyway, thank you for staying till the end of this video, and I sincerely hope you have the best of days and that you enjoyed this content that I put out today. And hopefully, again, if all things technological go well, I hope you enjoyed the new intro, if I actually managed to put it in there. So, have a good day, guys. Goodbye!